Hello, it is Trash Talk. We are here, guys. Finally, we've managed to get it all together and actually get out roughly on time. We're only 2 minutes late. Not bad going. I can already see celebrities in the chat. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I'm Richard Lewis, the editor of cadred.org. For now, people had a good go at trying to fire me last week. We'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, anyway, it is the esports phone in where you basically dictate the agenda about what we're going to talk about. Your calls, your ideas. No fucking guests, no esports celebrities. And, okay, there's a little sprinkling of me on top. But, that's really what we're here for, right? Because I've got this massive fucking ego. So, anyway, where do we start? Well, let's start with last week. Those of you tuned in, and we had record numbers last week. So, again, thanks a lot to all of you people. We had record numbers, like I say, and most of you will have witnessed some rather fucking strange activity. Like, towards the end of the show, it becomes apparent that my Twitter's getting fucking bombarded and I'm a little bit fucking distracted. I was under the weather anyway. I had a cold I'm just getting over. And the reason for that was I said a word that people don't really like on Twitter, and everyone kind of seized upon it. Now, my company are great. They support me through the thick and the thin, through the good and the bad. And they didn't want, they haven't forced me to make an apology or anything. So, but I kind of feel like I need to clarify a few points and maybe somewhere insert an apology in there. And I'll tell you what I'm apologizing for. I'm definitely not apologizing to all the fucking people who basically appropriated a cause to get at me personally and act morally outraged when in fact they're fucking not. And a lot of these people are massively hypocritical because they actually endorse far worse behavior from other people while at the same time attacking me. So I'm not apologizing to those guys. I'm equally not apologizing to people who, look to just fucking get bandwagons rolling at every given opportunity. Like, fuck those guys as well. What I will apologize for is the very small handful of people that maybe didn't feel welcome in esports or welcomed by me personally in esports because of my use of language. And I'm not a fucking nasty guy. I'm not vicious. The only people I look to attack are liars, thieves, the fucking leeches that suck esports dry while laughing in all of our faces. Those guys don't think I'm a nice person. Most people, though, realize I'm actually all right. I'm not a fucking hater. And if I did come across like that last week to the people who were offended, like 3 or 4 of you were genuinely upset, fuck it, man. Hand on heart, I am sorry, right? Straight up, because that's not what I like to do. Everyone's welcome in esports, right? As far as I'm concerned. If I'm turning people away by being a douchebag, then I'm fucking up. I'm doing something wrong. So there you go, right? I can be a big man about it. But to all you fucking pussies trying to get me fucking fired and trying to make up all this shit, like, just because I fucking once again tried to expose some people fucking robbing from the fucking community, lying, if that's the best you can do, you're going to have to come a lot fucking harder than that because I'm going nowhere. Right, with that in mind, let's go to this week's Wall of Hate. Gareth, have you got it lined up for me?
Yep, it's now on.
Okay, so there you go. You can see we had some lovely hate. I especially like the guy who told me to get back to the trailer I was born in. That guy was awesome. I fucking hate you. Brilliant. What a great dude. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about this week? Well, I'm going to have to put the old reading glasses on. Again, people mocking me for this, all right? I know I look like Robert De Niro at the end of Casino. That's just how it is. Right, so it's a silly season in League of Legends. Lots of roster changes coming in. Do you have any ideas where they might be? Are you a mole? Can you give us a tip? Would love to hear from you if you can. Ocelot is rumored to be leaving SK Gaming. I mean, strongly rumored. He tweeted something along the lines of, "Today I have made my decision. No guts, no glory." Is the beautiful, bescarfed Spaniard going to end up in a team, or is he retiring altogether? Who knows? Maybe you've got some insight into that. And what would it mean for SK? I'm hearing all sorts of rumors about the team they're trying to assemble in his absence. The super team story that someone may or may not have broke on this program is looking increasingly likely. Now, the big conversation, the big talking point is where are they going to end up? I think there's a good chance Evil Genius is. Who knows? But perhaps, again, you've got some insight into that. And as well as that, TSM have been looking to basically bring in a new mid person. Reggie, it looks like he's going to bite the bullet and retire. If I said that the mid person might be European, I think we can all have a good inkling as to who it would be. This is what my sources are telling me. I need to do some digging before I can go official on that. But again, let's go into it. HBO special, Real Sports. They had a feature on LOL called Revenge of the Nerds. And everyone's talking about what a great thing it is. I don't know. I think, can we move away from the fucking nerd thing? Like, can we get past that? I mean, look, I work in esports. I've done for 10 years. I know it's accurate. You know, I know it's true. I know what we all are. But wouldn't it be nice, like, to just focus on the fucking sport and what makes it good, rather than, you know, oh, look at the people who play it, ha ha ha, they sit in front of a PC for 10 hours. You know, maybe you don't feel bad about that. Maybe you saw it. Tell me what you think. StarCraft 2 now, a 3-hour match yesterday. A nation bored to fucking death. And for me, the 3-hour match just epitomizes everything that's currently wrong with the metagame and indeed StarCraft 2 in general. Mana afterwards said, "Your move, Blizzard." Do you think Blizzard need to intervene? Was it a player issue? Is it a metagame issue? Are these things going to happen? Did you sit through the entire game? If you did, I would love. Well, fucking hats off to you, first of all. But I'd love to hear from you. BlizzCon casters have been announced. There's no Kalaris. My mind is boggled. Like, I am so baffled by this decision. He's been the main EU WCS caster. He's done amazing work. He's come so far in such a short period of time. I got nothing but respect for this guy, and I really expected him to be on the big ticket. And it seems that he's been dropped, you know, in favor of my old chum Day 9. But, you know, regardless of whether Day 9's there or not, surely Kalaris has got to be there. Anyway, maybe you've got an opinion about that as well. Hook has won his Home Story Cup qualifier without dropping a game. This is how crazy StarCraft is right now. Hook can actually win again. Now, does this mean that Hook is back to his brilliant best, which he was back when he was at Team Liquid? Or is the NA scene just absolutely terrible? CSGO, we're moving on now. The McNip Burger has been launched in Sweden. Now, again, a burger named after ninjas in pajamas. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. It was a competition winner, so it's not necessarily strictly an endorsement of the team itself. But still, is it a big deal for CSGO? Maybe you see it as a new level of visibility for this fledgling esports title, or maybe you see it as a meaningless gimmick. I'm probably leaning more towards the second one. ESWC groups have been drawn. How do we see that panning out? And indeed, while we're on the subject of ESWC, they have got rid of overtime. We're now going to have draws. And the reason for this is they want to try and streamline the tournament. I think it's a fucking absurd decision. Where would any Counter-Strike of any iteration be without the overtime wins? Like, it's insane to me. So anyway, there's some of the topics that have been floating around in cyberspace this week. Gareth, who's the first caller?
His name is Jeff Dugan, and he wants to talk about the Curse roster change and then Liquid's poor PR attempt after kicking Po Bowter and Afromu.
Afromu, yeah, okay, cool. Let's
talk about.
Yeah, let's get him on then. So I've got a lot of opinions about this one. I'll take these fucking glasses off. I look stupid. Jeff, can you hear me? Hello, Jeff. Big responsibility to turn up when you're the first caller. Huge. Here he is. Jeff, can you hear me okay, brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's all right, Jeff. Thanks for having you. It's great to have you on. I believe we've already talked, haven't we, about getting you to call in. So you've got some views about the Curse situation. Tell me what you think, man. What's on your mind?
Well, I just feel bad for Cop mostly because, you know, they put him on the B team pretty much. And then a week later, Liquid has this revelation where he decides, you know, oh, I realized how great Cop was all along, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the thing with Cop, is, of course, like for me, I actually did think he was a weak link in the Curse chain. I wasn't impressed with the way he'd been playing. His link up with Edward was,
horrible.
Well, yeah, horrible. I was going to say disastrous, but I think you're right. I think horrible's a bit kinder, and they didn't really look good together. It didn't work. Edward has problems gelling with AD carries. I mean, he said he never gelled with Genja either. So I think that's more on him. Since Copper's come back, though, I think he's looked really good. I've been watching the NACL. I think he's looking really sharp, really sick, playing very well. And Curse seemed to be a much happier unit. That said, and people are going to probably go wild about this, I think individually, Afro Moo is a technically better player.
Oh, yeah. But people always say he never performs on the way in. But if you look at Season 2 and Vulcan back under Team Fear, when they were qualifying for LCS, he was pretty much carrying the team then. Man Cloud wasn't the mid player he is today. And Zuno wasn't as good top lane as he is a carry. So I think that's a myth that he can't perform on LAN.
Well, where do you stand? I mean, you talked about you talked about the PR attempt, and this is what I'm very interested in, because I think managers basically live and die by their decisions. And we all had this knee-jerk reaction on Reddit. You know, it was a bad decision to kick Afrumu and Pop Belter. You know, it was really unprofessional to bring them in for like all of 2 days, then kick them. But if this works out for Curse, are we all gonna owe Liquid 112 a fucking huge apology? You know, are we gonna have to say, you know, you're actually smarter than us? You know,
maybe, but I mean. Remember when he posted the initial tryouts, like they had application, and then one of the things was you had to be able to move out there, and they kind of ignored that when they made Pole Belter, because he said up front he wasn't going to be able to move out there. So I ignored that requirement in your application when bringing someone on your team.
I thought the open tryouts, I was actually embarrassed by that, and I mean, embarrassed for Curse. I think, I mean, it was weird because obviously my good friend Odie at Team Dignitas has took a similar standpoint in replacing Kiwi Kid, who, thank God they decided to do that, because Kiwi Kid has been dead weight for a long fucking time. But anyway, I don't like this model of tryouts. I think if we want to move it towards, I mean, look, I know there's a draft system in NFL and baseball, and we look at young talent and we look to move it through. But I think you should have a player in mind. It should be like more like soccer, you know? You go out, you get your man that you know is going to do a job, and you do the transfer. You know, having tryouts suggests that we actually don't know what we're doing. We're just going to see how it all works out. And I think Curse have taken some real questionable managerial decisions lately. But ultimately, I hate to say it, because I mean, I even love, I love fucking Saint Vicious. I wrote an article supporting the guy and saying, they're going to be worse off without him. But right now, they look a better unit. I wouldn't say overall a better team. I wouldn't say necessarily more talented. I wouldn't say I Will Dominate has looked as good as Saint. I think he's been a little bit poor in the games I've watched. But I think they're a much happier unit. They seem to be bonding and they seem to be getting results.
Yeah, I agree. I wanted to talk about Liquid's role as, because he's really good at promotional stuff. He got him to sign with Nissan for that endorsement, and I think that's what he should stick to, and they should just have Saint make all the roster decisions.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about him, but like I say, managers live and die by their decisions. And I remember when Jack, formerly of TSM, when he set up Cloud9 and picked up that team and backed them to the hilt, everyone said that was a mistake. And look how that's worked out, So I honestly think we've got to really, if it does work out and Curse get there and, they're back in LCS and everyone's happy with that, and I know lots of Curse fans will be, Liquid's probably the mastermind behind that. He's the guy who's made the big calls and has done it publicly. He's put his balls on the line and has gone public and said, this is all on me. If it goes tits up, to use a British phrase, he's going to get a lot of hate. So, I think we've totally got support the boldness of the moves. And I think this guy, you know, he looks like, you know, he's played it quite well from a PR perspective. Like that furor about kicking Afro Mu in particular, that could have ruined, you know, lesser managers, if you like. That pretty much lasted on Reddit for like 5 hours, which is a limited amount of time, even in esports drama, when no drama lasts more than 72 hours. And I know because I was the victim of one recently. So yeah, I'm completely behind him. You know, I gotta say it. Like, obviously the proof will be in the pudding. I mean, what are your final thoughts there, Jeff? I mean, like, just assessing this new cursed team. Do you think they can do it? Do you think they'll be back in the LCS?
I think they can, just because how long it's going to be till relegation. It's not going to be till January, so they have 2-3 months to practice and build synergy. But some of those amateur teams like GGLA look really good, so I think it really depends on who they're matched up against.
Yeah, I mean, and just to pick up on your point about Saint making the decisions, I mean, what I would say about that is it's slightly contradictory, because if Saint was brought in to make those decisions, Saint was effectively removed because, well, you know, it wasn't working. And it was always intimated that it was his calls that were bad, that it was his influence on the team that was bad. And I said, you know, if you then give him that carte blanche to make these decisions, you haven't really addressed that problem, and you've removed someone that you know, at least to a certain degree, can step it up in game, like he did at All-Stars. So it would have seemed a bit weird. It would have been like keeping the problem, but losing any possible benefit along with that. So that's my take on it. But look, Jeff, thanks a lot for calling in. I know you've been wanting to call in for a long time, and it's good that you finally bit the bullet. It's a great first call. Just a quick question before you do go. Are you a Curse fan personally?
Yeah, I've always been a Curse fan, you know, so I'm here to still root for them.
All right, man. Well, look, I wish you all the best, and hopefully you'll call in again another week. Thanks a lot for being our first call.
Thank you.
All right, take care, Jeff. All right, and all you pieces of shit in the chat, me and Jeff had a talk. He's a big esports fan, is Jeff. He's been wanting to call into this show for ages. And obviously he's, you know, got cerebral palsy. He's worried about what it does to his speech. And, you know, it takes a real piece of shit to mock someone for having the courage to come and publicly voice their opinion, while all you little bitches don't even call in because you're scared of sounding like a douche. So you should be taking your hats off to guys like that, you fucking idiots. Anyway, that's my take on it. Jeff's a fucking hero. Right, call in now if you want to follow in Jeff's footsteps. Trash Talk TV on Skype. Maybe you've got someone you want to add about the curse decision. I think the proof of the pudding's in the eating, personally, and I think it's going to be... I think they're going to get there. I think this is going to work out for the good. It's been a rocky road, but I think they've maybe made the right calls. Anyway, so who have we got next, Gareth?
His name's Rascal, and he wants to talk about next season's WCS.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, WCS. Right then, let's get this man. So Riscarwin. I'm gonna struggle to pronounce this. I won't try pronouncing it again. Hey, can you hear me, brother?
Hey, man. What's up?
Hey, how's it going? So you've got something you want to talk about WCS next season? What's on your mind?
Or like next year in general. By the way, first of all, I'd like to say that I really liked your videos back when the days when you went to these dream hacks. You gave these tours around the venue and stuff. I really missed them, kind of. As
yeah, hey, well, I've not been going to events lately, and it's not because there's like no budget there. You probably have seen the Cadred website, and you know it's a piece of shit as much as I know it's a piece of shit. We're really working hard on developing a new one. It's taken up a lot of my time. I will be at DreamHack Winter, so I'll be looking forward to providing you with another tour, and I hope it lives up to the standards that you remember.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Thanks, man.
So, no problem. So, first of all, I'd like to talk about WCS next year. By the way, sorry, I want to introduce myself. I'm Chu Liang, a Finnish Zerg player. Yeah, basically that. So,
do you have a stream or anything? Could anyone? Did you stream? Could anyone follow you if they wanted to?
No, I don't stream. I play in some online tournaments and then some Finnish tournaments.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Hopefully, I'll get to see you competing one day.
Okay, thanks. So WCS next year. So I wrote a little Team Liquid thread and it didn't really catch anything, but I think a lot of people have been talking about the problem of, should we totally region lock and kick all the Koreans out, or let Koreans come in? And I think there could be like a kind of middle road, a perfect solution in my opinion. And this would work so that, first of all, we would make GSL OSL back what it was before, the high, was it 50K for the winner? And then we would actually enlarge the Challenger League. We don't actually have to stream it or anything because there's so much content, but make it bigger, and then make it have more money. And most importantly, make the top 8 of like the Challenger winners, like make it actually a huge bracket, and make like top 16 and 8. So basically 8 can choose to go to EU Premier, and 8 can go and choose and go to NA Premier. And like the winners, they can pass the spot down. If they want to go to Korea Premier, they can go there. But they can also choose EU or NA Premier. You kind of see where I'm going with this. So
yeah,
you would always have 8 players, which I think is a really good amount in Premier, competing in the other regions. We would have our best players from Europe or the best players from America competing with the middle level players of Korea, and we would always have this kind of goal, and we would have a chance to fight against them. But right now, for example, in America, there's top level Koreans performing there, and then in Europe it's pretty good because we're getting a lot of viewers. There's middle level Koreans, and it's working out pretty well. And then I've heard rumors that there's not going to be season finals. So if there's no season finals, then for next year BlizzCon, I was thinking 10 players from Korea into BlizzCon, 3 from Europe, 2 from America, and then 1 from China. Because the thing with China right now is that there's going to be the Chinese players in America, and without the Koreans, there's always going to be one who's dominating. Whether I think right now it's Maxeed or Jim. So then you would have basically 6 foreigners at BlizzCon and 10 Koreans. And out of the 10 Koreans, maybe top 8 from like the top GSL and 2 wildcards. Okay, that's just... sorry for rambling on.
No. I get your point. I get your point. Well, look. First of all, I am a fan of region locking. I changed my mind about this. So after my initial impression, which would be that it should be a meritocracy, I like your idea, and I'll tell you as to why. Anything we can do right now to make StarCraft appeal to as broad a demographic as possible is good for the game. A lot of people have said, look, it should be a meritocracy. Once you start caring about personalities, nationalities, more than you care about performance, you're going to die as an esport. Well, look, I don't think StarCraft is going to die tomorrow, but it's dwindling. It's a shadow of its former self. And for ages, we've been fixated on Koreans and the way Koreans do things. We've allowed Koreans to effectively dominate the way we do everything. And that's cool, man. They've got such a history in the sport. We can definitely learn a lot from the Korean way. But what we've done is we've gone a little bit too far for me. And we're starting to push out Europeans. We're starting to push out the North American players who, they're not as gifted. They're not as able. But they're not going to get gifted or able by not being able to compete at the very highest level. And unfortunately, sometimes there needs to be almost like a safety net in place, a way that we can ensure that at least a few survive and a few get through and they can learn these skills and maybe develop. And it must suck for the Koreans who aren't top tier Koreans but good enough to beat North Americans and Europeans. They must look at it and think, fuck man, this ain't fair. But I think it's the lesser of two evils. I think right now what the sport needs is a way that we can get more American attention, more European attention, and actually when the World Finals come rolling around, instead of backing one guy, which is looking like it's Naniwa as the sole foreigner, but I mean that might not even happen. We can actually back players based on not just nationality, but we can have a choice. We can say, well, this American's an asshole, but this guy isn't. I prefer this guy, rather than just having to put all our eggs in one basket, which doesn't make for a good spectating experience. I think what WCS right now caters for is the absolute esports purist, someone that can cut through the nationality, the bullshit, the language barriers, and that's great for those guys. I salute those guys. But I definitely think we need to start thinking about what we can do to hook more casual viewers in, give them easier narratives to follow and latch onto, because that's what's going to grow the numbers again in the sport. So, I really like your idea. You've definitely put a lot of thought into it. Have you tried contacting Blizzard or anyone?
Yeah, I do have contacts in Blizzard, but how should I put this? I think Blizzard has their own way of doing things, and I mean, I try my best, but I don't know. I hope for the best, but right now I think in esports in general, for what I've seen in League of Legends is that if you have like a region lock, complete region lock, what will eventually happen is that it actually kills the thing even faster. Like Koreans will have their metagame, and they will always be in control of the metagame. And it doesn't really matter, if you're the one or two foreigners who has really good mechanics. It doesn't matter, because there's like 10 other Koreans, 100 and other Koreans who have that kind of mechanics. Plus, they have that far more advanced metagame that they will always develop first. So I think the best way, to emphasize again, is to have, a certain number of people, a good amount of people, being the premier of Europe and North America to kind of let us get to know about the metagame relatively fast, so we won't be that behind. And then slowly over time, maybe we can catch up. Yeah.
I mean, like I say, I don't disagree with you. Just a quick bit of devil's advocatory before I let you dash. I mean, okay, let's imagine you were one of these players who you could trounce all the North Americans or Europeans that get artificially selected in the method you're talking about in the kind of tournament setup. I mean, how do you think you would feel?
As a Korean.
Yeah, you would be a Korean in this instance, yes.
Well, I mean, if you make the Korean Code A or the Challenger really big, and I mean, right now, I don't know, there's around, I would say, a little bit over 100 Korean pro gamers, I'm just guessing, and the Premier supports 32, and okay, let's have the Challenger be around 40-something. And I think that's a pretty good amount already, because you can't have every single Korean pro gamer in the Korean league. Otherwise, that would make the Korean, that would diminish their own value a little bit. So, I mean, as a Korean player, I mean, it's not that hard, right? If you're one of those pro gamers, I mean, you just have to be the better of the two, if you think about it. I just have to be better than one other guy.
Okay, well, man, I can't disagree with you. I think the one thing
kind of do well.
Yeah, I think the one thing everybody agrees is and look, I talk to people who work on WCS, and they're like, look, man, we know it ain't everything that we thought it was going to be, but we've got to keep pulling in the right direction and shaping it. What I think would be catastrophic now would be for Blizzard to become entrenched in this mentality that it needs to be some, unchanging thing, that if we stick to this one format, the fans will get used to it, everyone will fall in line, and the game will somehow be restored to its former glory. That isn't going to happen. We need to force some changes, and I think your suggestion's pretty much as good as anything that I've actually heard suggested. But change is necessary, in my opinion. Anyway, look, thanks a lot for calling in. It's always great to get new callers, and I wish you all the best with your playing career as well. I'll be keeping an eye out for you, brother.
Okay, thanks. See you.
All right, you take care. So there we go, WCS. Again, the kind of discussion about WCS, it just keeps rolling on. I don't think anybody is overly satisfied with the way it's going, but that we are now starting to see almost like a backlash. Like everyone was in favor of region locking and ways to get Europeans and Americans to the big tournament rather than having it dominated by Koreans. Now that trend's starting to swing like a pendulum back the other way, and everyone's kind of saying, well, fuck it, no, it should be a meritocracy. Fuck these shit North American players. And I single North American players out for the obvious reason. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we need to have it as inclusive and diverse as possible. But that's just me. Maybe you disagree. If so, here's what you do. You add Trash Talk TV to Skype. You call in and you tell me I am a dickhead. Right, Gareth, have we got one more caller before we take a break? Hello, Gareth.
Yes, we do. My bad. Muted mic. Happens sometimes.
No. Very professional.
Technical difficulties. Yeah, we got QN, and he wants to talk about the EMS1 announcement with Red Eye and Joe Miller as casters.
Oh, right. Well, here we go. So it's a bit of CSGO. Look, everyone, like we're on the front page of Reddit, like the front page of the League of Legends Reddit for the first time ever with this show. And so far, League of Legends content's been pretty limited. So let's talk some CSGO. No one cares about it.
We have got some LoL coming up, so...
Oh, brilliant. That's good news. Well, anyway, look, I care about it. I care about all esports queuing. So what's on your mind? So Red Eye and Joe Miller are back. Good thing, bad thing?
Well, first of all, honestly, I think it's a bad thing, but I was also just going to drag you straight into the whole caster thing with Toby One and... Have you heard about Toby One and Thorin going at it at the
I did.
TV show?
Well, that's the thing, because obviously me and Chan Man work together. I mean, Chris is a great guy. He's done a lot for me personally, helped open doors in the StarCraft 2 community. So I watch all of Chris's content. You know, I help where I can. Obviously, I appear on it and whatnot. So I did watch the show. There's talk about me doing some more unfiltered. So I like to see what I'm getting into. And yeah, I did watch it. And you know what? I agreed with Duncan. I agreed with Thorin.
Well, yeah, all right, then it's kind of... I do as well, so we can't really play devil's advocate there.
No. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what was said for the benefit of those that missed it. I'll let you do it, Q, and you're the caller. So give us a summary of what Thorin said.
All right, I'll do my best, and then if I miss out on anything, you can take it in. Basically, what Thorin said, it might sound rude, but let's just put it the way he said it. He thinks that Toby One is generally just in CSGO for the money. He thinks that he jumped onto casting DreamHack when they announced the $250,000 tournament, and he just kind of, well, let's say jumped ship onto CSGO only when he realized there was actually money in it. And then Thorin made the point that DreamHack should be cast like, well, he used his main example was Anders from NIP TV, because he was there from the start when CSGO didn't really have a lot of viewers. And I'm not sure if he used, I can't really remember who else he used. I think he might have used Pansy, or that might have been Sir Scoots. I can't quite remember. But his main point was just that Toby One's there for the money.
Well, it's a very good summary you've done there, Q, and you know, I'll tell you a little bit about what I know. Now, look, I've got nothing against Toby personally. We've had some limited interactions. Seems an all right guy to me. I generally like Antipodeans. Australian people are fucking great. So yeah, you know, like we got along like a house on fire. And one thing that's a little bit disingenuous, so one thing that isn't true, is the idea that he's got no FPS experience. That's not true at all. He's been involved with both with Counter-Strike back in the day, and I think even Call of Duty. So he's definitely got FPS experience. But of course, he is known for Dota. And here's what's been happening, what I'm being told, and that is that he's... First of all, he didn't ingratiate himself to Valve. Some people, the well-informed among us, will remember he dropped a racist insult in one of his live-streamed games, which I won't repeat, especially not with Evil Geniuses probably sat fucking watching this, poring over my every word, so they can email my bosses again. But it might have begun with an N. And it wasn't particularly nice. It was implying that black people are more likely to have birth defects. It wasn't a very nice insult.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, well, you can Google this. I'm pretty sure if you put Toby One racism in, and it was a while ago, and everyone forgets about it. And I guess like Spider-Man in Family Guy says, everyone gets one. We're all going to do something stupid. We're all going to say something stupid. And maybe I'm more sympathetic to that now than I would have been a week ago. But anyway, so he said something that was stupid, and that didn't go over very well, and there was a big brouhaha in the community. He managed to keep his position somehow, but there were some other issues where it's been stated by lots of people in the esports industry that he's been getting information from Valve about the direction Dota 2 is going to go, and rather than do what everyone else is doing, like your Two Goods and whatnot, he has been just leaking it left, right, and center, rather than just sitting on it and using it for, you know, information purposes.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, so basically that's made him not very popular with Valve. And I get the impression, and no doubt Toby can fucking correct me if I'm wrong, that he is ultimately looking for another out because he feels his days in Dota 2 might be a bit numbered. And even if it wasn't for the racist thing, and even if it wasn't for the Dota thing, let's face it, right? DreamHack and the Good Studio, they go balls deep into Dota 2 coverage. I mean, that's going to be their main focus. I know that. I've talked to James. I've talked to Robert Owen.
They're casting fact fights.
Exactly. I mean, they're going to go absolutely ham on it, and they've got this $1 million fucking super studio. No one's going to be able to touch them. We've got other studios set up specifically for it, and the idea of this floating caster model, it's not going to last. And I think what he's doing is he's doing what all good casters do, and we've started to see it in StarCraft as well, with like people trying to nudge in Hearthstone. Yeah, in World of Tanks, exactly. Keep your options open. So on the one hand, if you're a businessman, you can look at what he's doing and think, okay, makes sense. He's a businessman. If you're a purist or an old bitter esports journalist like me and Thorin both are, you probably think, well, fuck it. Why should he just get to jump around for a payday? Where's his loyalty? But to be honest, I think both sentiments are a bit sort of. Neither of them are correct. So that was what happened there with the Toby one. And I got to say, sure.
Though, if you know, did he actually ever himself mention casting DreamHack directly? Because I'm honestly, I don't know if he did. Did he ever himself mention like that is?
I don't know if he did. I don't stay glued to his Twitter feed. But what I can say is I know for a fucking fact that he's put his name in the hat, so to speak. I mean, look, everyone did. I did. I even put my name in the fucking hat. I said to Robert, like,
let's hope you get it.
Nah, I'm never gonna get shit. Am I? Let's be honest, Kieran. What am I gonna get?
It would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be hilarious. No doubt about that. But yeah, everyone put their name in the hat. Look, I know everyone who had any sort of pipeline to DreamHack, be it Robert on Skype or, let's ask James, let's ask... everyone was kind of intimating about it because everyone wants that paycheck. And it's not just the paycheck, you see, because the paycheck is pretty much a standard one-off gig.
It's the opening. It's being the guy to cast the first really, really, really big CSGO event. You're going to be the guy people remember. You were there when it happened. That's a really important thing for your summer.
Exactly. And if the game's gonna grow, and you were the guy that was there at the inception of that growth, you're gonna get all of the benefits. And that's why Toby wants it, and that's why everyone wants it. And if anyone says, I mean, look, like I'll coming on to the Joe and Red Eye thing. If Joe, and I love Joe. Fucking, he's a great dude.
Yeah, like, Joe is a really great guy.
Many a beer has been had with Joe, right? But if he was to turn around and say he was doing the DreamHack gig because he loves Counter-Strike, I'd laugh in his face. Because I sat through the EMS when he first come back to CSGO about 6-7 months ago, maybe longer, and was casting it, and he sounded joyless. He sounded miserable. It sounded like it was a chore. He's a great caster, but he loves League of Legends. And he loves League of Legends because the community treats him right. Yeah? It ain't like the Counter-Strike community where it's like, fucking, if you say one thing wrong or if you miss a fucking 5-man, you're dead. You're dead to them. You are dead to them. You're a piece of shit. Like, that is it. It doesn't matter. You 10 years good work erased. Joe Miller was the voice of Counter-Strike along with Red Eye. I see both of them get criticised. Paul, Red Eye, even put up a Reddit thread not that long ago.
He's saying he doesn't take criticism from Reddit, which in some way who can blame him, though?
It's not even that. It just, it's like he said, it's like, at the moment, we've got a situation where the community are like, we're insulting the old casters, and we're not letting the new casters get any practice. We're blaming them till they quit immediately, and then we're sat around saying we've got no good casters. Again, the Counter-Strike community is its own fucking worst enemy. Like,
it is rather toxic.
Every time. Like, you fuck shit up for yourself, guys. Every time. Right? When you have got someone like Red Eye, and I'll tell you about Paul. Paul is a guy, right, who, love him or hate him, he stood by that game. He had offers on the table to go and cast other games years ago, back when he was doing Counter-Strike Source, when no one was doing Counter-Strike Source, when you were an idiot to not be involved with 1.6. And Paul was there standing tall, trying to raise this tiny title up by giving it this quality casting. And you all flame him now. What are you doing? It's no fucking wonder he doesn't want to do it. I mean, like, he loves Counter-Strike. He absolutely loves the fucking game. Like, he never stops talking about it. Like, it's incredible. Like, I've never known a guy of his age be so enthusiastic about this game. And yeah, he's getting more into StarCraft 2. Counter-Strike's his first love. Believe me, that isn't bullshit. That isn't fake. That's actually real. You might find that worrying, but it's real. So anyway, well, let's talk about the announcement. So Joe Miller and Red Eye are back. Is it too, I mean, in your opinion, is it the best thing for the event, or is it too old kind of veterans just coming back for a payday?
Well, when they have Anders, they actually, and Pansy, and they have Jacob as well, which, well, actually, let's see how he does, because he is kind of new to it. So I actually think it's good, because they have some of the old, but they also have the new, like they're flying Anders over this Friday. They have Pansy. I know Pansy have been doing it for a long time, but some people would still consider her new.
Well, look, here's the thing, right? I think we need. Well, why can't we have a feminine input?
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
game,
I didn't say that.
know?
I think Pansy's
No, I know. I'm not saying you are, but some people seem to be like they're really in and out with Pansy, and I say this with all the love in the world. Like, she's only loosely feminine anyway. I'd much rather, like, seriously, like, if you've ever gone out drinking with her, she is like one of the lads. It's such a terrible term to use about a female, but if ever there was a female that deserved to have that term applied to them, it was her. You know, she can handle the fucking banter. She's played the game. She played to a very decent level in Call of Duty. She understands FPS mechanics, and I think when other casters like Rizek weren't taking on board feedback from the community because they were like boo-hooing about it, she listened, got better, put the work in, got a job, and yeah, you know, I think Pansy deserves it. It's sad watching her do World of Tanks. It's sad. She's better than that. No one enjoys World of Tanks. No one. It's no disrespect to Wargaming, because I'm hoping Wargaming are going to pay me money like they pay everyone else money. But you know, no one enjoys casting it. You can see it in their face as they're doing it.
The famous Atosis picture.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he just looks so fucking abjectly miserable in that image, and that encapsulates the problem with it. Because look, if the game isn't very spectator friendly, and you've got the pressure of making it sound exciting when it literally is just slow tanks trundling up a fucking hill and like shooting each other from miles away, it's like, oh my god, like how anyone, like, seriously, if you can be the caster that makes World of Tanks seem exciting, dynamic, and interesting, you're the best caster that ever lived, bar none, ever. So that's my take on it. But yeah, Pansy shouldn't fucking be, you know, excluded. Look, here's the thing. Like, we all know who has made a contribution to the CSGO community. Joe Miller, he deserves it. Even if it's just a payday, deserves it. He did the fucking hard yards, deserves it.
And as you said, we even deserve him to give him the chance. Like,
yeah. Red Eye deserves it. Pansy deserves it. Anders deserves it. The only argument starts coming in when...
Jacob.
Well, not even that. It's just about whether you believe deserve. It should be what we're talking about. I think it should be.
Who's best?
Yeah, exactly. But if you're into meritocracy, then maybe you think the whole deserve thing's irrelevant, and maybe you do want to see people like Toby One come in because he's good at shouting or whatever. You know, I don't know. I think for the very first one, deserve has got to count. My little sources tell me anyway. I mean, well, no, I won't reveal that. I got an idea about some of the people that are going to be involved. It might surprise a few people, but certainly my 2 cents are that, you know, I think for this first one, let's go with deserve. Let's give the guys a chance, and if they fuck it up, Valve have said there's going to be another one. That's already said. That's already agreed, right? If they fuck it up, bring in the ringers, right? They had the chance and they fucked it up. But otherwise, let's give the people that showed the game some fucking love the opportunity to maybe make it big off the back of the game. Like, the game gives them something for once, you know?
Yeah, but are you talking DreamHack or EMS1 now, though?
Oh, well, look, fuck all of it. I'm talking about, like, you know, EMS1, DreamHack. Right, everyone knows if you're casting this EMS1 championship now and you do a great job and everyone's going wild about you on Reddit or HLTV or whatever, you're in line to get the DreamHack gig. It's still not been officially announced. They're still looking at people.
That is correct, though.
I think it's an audition. I think everything between now and DreamHack actually happening is an audition. Maybe they'll get that ESWC guy that says in French where the teams are and where the players are. Like, fucking, you know.
But if you had to set one person in stone, though, like one person you're sure that's already decided for DreamHack, who would you say? I bet you're going to say Anders because it's the obvious choice, but don't you think, like, if you had to set one, like, that is already, you think Valve has, DreamHack has chosen, who would you say?
I'll take a guess that Tosspot is
But do you think Tosspot is coming back?
I think that, yes.
Is that the thing you didn't want to say, but you just accidentally said?
It's a thing I think. I think lots of things.
All right.
So.
Well, I wouldn't want to take any more of your time, Richard. I did
Oh,
have
no,
one
look,
more question,
hey,
but
look,
I kind of forgot it. It was something snarky, but the thing is, it kind of slipped my mind. But I'll come back with it.
That's all right, man. There's always plenty of time. It's great to have you on, Kewan. And it's a South African accent, right?
Not at all. Not at
No?
all.
Where,
No,
where
no.
you from then, brother? You, you had me fooled.
Chandman knows what I am. You can ask him. I call in with him regularly.
I'm telling you, man, I had you down as a fucking South African.
You are Scandinavian. I will give you that.
That's why I thought you were bringing up Toby one. I thought you might have been one of his little
Oh, no,
fucking helpers or something.
No, I don't. The thing is, I don't really know anything about 2v1, which is why I'm curious about it. Like, I would like some more information than just angry Reddit posts, which is why I brought it up to you, because I think you know a bit more than angry people typing on Reddit. I'd at least expect so.
Not really.
Well, shit.
Just another fucking voice in the crowd. Anyway, Kewan, look, thanks a lot for calling in. We're going to go to a quick break. It was a good call to end on before we take that break. So thanks a lot, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right, no, anytime. So there you go. There was Kewan, and he's talking about the DreamHack casting, the EMS1 casting. I think it's great to see the old names kind of coming back, and I think we know why that's happening. The DreamHack gig is really it's hovering over us, isn't it? Like a specter. We all want to know who's going to get it. We all want the people who are going to get it to be the right people. Everyone in that community knows how important it is. And I think the best thing DreamHack can actually do, and Robert, if you're watching this, take heed of my advice because I love you. Get the announcement out sooner rather than later. Like, let's announce this shit. The speculation ain't doing anyone any good. It's only gonna get more cutthroat, and it's only gonna make the community fucking get a bit more antsy. You know, the longer they've got to deal with the decisions, the better it's gonna be by the time the tournament rolls around. Anyway, we are gonna have some more LOL talk after the break. I know we're at the top of the LOL Reddit. I see everyone going, "Where's the LOL talk? Where's the LOL talk?" We're gonna have some LOL talk. I promise you. If you want to talk LOL, add Trash Talk TV to your Skype. We're going to take a quick break so I can go get loaded up on some more beers. I'll be back in about 2 minutes, bros. See you then. And we're back. So welcome back to Trash Talk. Thanks for staying with us during that break. I can see we got good numbers again this week. So hats off to all of you for tuning in. I hope you've been enjoying what you're listening to so far. This is of course the show where you set the agenda. It's about your opinions, and you can join in as well. You don't just need to call if you want to be one of those little scaredy cats that don't want to call in. You can hit me up on Twitter on Richard_A_Lewis. It's a shit Twitter. I don't know why I did that. The A stands for awesome. And you can follow this channel, obviously Streamgasm, brilliantly named Streamgasm. They're the guys who produce this show for me. You'll keep abreast of all of the up to date things. And if you use the hashtag TrashTalkHM, which stands for Heaven Media, the company I work for, you can also give your input. And while that was happening, I had a tweet from a guy called Turbulence while the break was on, and he just wanted to say, and this is a good point and one I hadn't considered, the shit Toby would get from the Dota 2 community if he would be casting CSGO at an event where Dota 2 is present doesn't compare to the shit he would get from the rest of the world combined. Dota 2 community doesn't forget Toby would be dead to us. So that was a consideration I hadn't took in. Of course, obviously Dota 2 is going to be at DreamHack. It's an interesting point, and Turbulence, thanks a lot for that tweet. Anyway, we're going to get on to some LOL content now, guys. Thanks to everyone who upvoted us to the front page of the LOL subreddit. Hugely surprised about that, and thanks to everybody who supported, but really fucking weird. Anyway, so what have we got, Gareth?
We've got a guy called Mr. Truth, and he wants to talk about how kids in League of Legends and other games are socially thin-skinned, and the word toxic is overused.
Excellent. Well, I believe we've heard from Mr. Truth before. He did a good call last week, I believe. Can you hear me, Truth?
I can hear you. Hello.
Great. So you've decided to come back. It must have been pleasant the first time.
I'm back to yell about more stuff.
Good. Right. Well, I enjoyed your call last week. I believe you were voted unofficially by our Twitch TV chat poll best caller of last week. And you want to talk... Yeah, so it's a great platform to build upon. So you want to talk about kids in League of Legends and how they're thin-skinned, right?
Yes, I do.
So lay it on me, brother.
Okay, so... And they are kids. I mean, look, there's so many children that play this game. And, that's a parent, it's a video game. But it amazes me how thin-skinned and weak some children can be when they play this game. Like, they've never been bullied, or they've never received harsh criticism before, or their dads never yelled at them. It feels like there's this shift in people that they just keep getting, more pussy, for lack of a more sophisticated term. And it pisses me off beyond belief. And because of this, the word toxic has come up. And toxic this, toxic that, you're toxic, his behavior's toxic. And it's the most bullshit thing I've ever heard. Okay, every time someone says toxic, I want to murder somebody. Okay.
I agree with you. I fucking hate the word. And the thing about it that really annoys me is it's almost like, I know Light was the guy who came up with it. And if ever there was anyone that seemed so smug and self-satisfied and drunk on the smell of their own farts, it's this guy. Like, I get it.
Fucking, Professor Light, PhD, master of psychology, overlord of all fucking science.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. Like, I don't want to take away from it, but come the fuck on, all right? Just chill out.
Yeah, the faux research scientists that they have that deal with player behavior or whatever the hell they want to call it is that gets me going anyway, a whole different direction. That's fucking pisses me off too. But there's even examples of this, and the thing is, everything has to be so perfect. You see in StarCraft back in the day, they were all jerking each other off about how great they were and how nice everyone is to each other.
Mm-hmm. What's that, sir? I've lost video again, have I? All right, okay. Sorry, keep talking, Mr. Truth. We'll figure this out.
Okay. So everybody would talk about each other, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're the nicest community. We love each other. Everything's sunshine and rainbows." And there's the same thing happening in League of Legends. But even the companies are getting in on it now. This week, we saw Thorin, if you follow Reddit, post about how he couldn't post one of his interviews because Kelby wanted to protect his brand, which is unbelievable because obviously it did much more damage to his brand by not posting it, I would say. And people got a lot more pissed off at CLG about that.
let's not muddy the waters. Let's get on to that because I do want to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. But let's stay on the toxic thing. And I got to be honest. Like, here's the thing. Like, the principle of it sounds great. It sounds intelligent on paper. The idea that someone comes in is so disruptive and horrible, they make you have a bad time, and then you're so put out by the time you hit play on your next game, you behave in a way that isn't ordinarily reflective of how you would behave, and you make someone have a bad time, and it spreads on and it spreads outward. But this League of Legends community, the Summoner's Code now is nothing but a fucking excuse for you not being able to use the fucking mute button. And I'll tell you what it is, right? There's two mentalities. I'm sick of hearing Light and guys at Riot say everyone wants to win. Bullshit. You play in like lower elos, or you play like, I mean, I would say gold or below, maybe platinum and below. People don't want to win. They want to be the reason that you won. They want to carry. And if that doesn't happen, they're not interested in it, and they start whining. Like most people who genuinely want to win, they don't give a fuck. Like if they score 0 for 10 or whatever, they just get on with it. They just win the fucking game. Like, look, I'm having a shit game this game. I'll go proxy top and fucking make them chase me. You take objectives. You find a way to make it work. Not in fucking low elo. So the idea that everyone wants to win, bullshit. It's the biggest fucking myth in League of Legends. There's so many players who would rather lose and then cry about their shit team and like take a screenshot of them on 22 for 1 because they were constantly fucking, just like mopping up and not turning up to team fights and shit, and say, oh, look, I got a good score, and not contribute anything. That for me is toxic. But actually what this word toxic does, toxic pretty much is any time you verbally criticize anyone, no matter how nice you dress it up, you're toxic. You tell a player you shouldn't have face checked that bush. Oh my God, you think I don't know I made this mistake? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, all right, well, just be mindful of it. Don't make it again. Don't make it 8 times in a row in the same game, you fucking clown. Why? I don't think there's any problem with it. Like, when you play real sports, and it's, I'm obviously from a fucking sporting background, like your coach doesn't say, oh, well, you shouldn't have missed that open goal from 4 yards, but never mind, hey, we'll get it again next time. You're going to get substituted for not lacking focus. You're going to get shouted at. You're going to get flamed. If you're in a training session and you fuck up something, you're going to get absolutely beasted. You're going to be made to drop on the floor, give them 20. People are going to question your commitment. You're going to get absolutely fucked. And that's what spurs you on to be better. Doesn't work in all cases. It's about carrot and stick and knowing what's the best. That's what determines a good manager. But like, holy shit, like, I can't even type to a player. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. Or can you please group? And I'm a toxic asshole? Like, fuck off. Honestly, these kids these days, it's like, right, Riot already fixed this problem of abuse in game, right? They fixed it. It's called the mute button. If you don't want to read nasty words, if you don't want to have your feelings hurt, click on the mute button. Done. Problem solved. The tribunal should only be for AFK people that intentionally feed, people that find ways to disrupt your game, like, and maybe fucking extreme racists or people like, people that are trying to be genuinely disruptive. People just telling you you're playing bad. If you don't want to hear that criticism, there's already a cure for it. And the idea of banning someone, I've always said it, I think the tribunal is more about making money, because what you do is you encourage people to have multiple accounts. I do it. I've got multiple accounts, and when on the rare occasions, because I'm super nice, on the rare occasions that I get banned on one, I play on the other. And I think everyone's got multiple accounts now because of the tribunal system.
Yeah, it's true, and it's ridiculous. Like what you're saying, that people just can't handle like any criticism. Like they can't handle the littlest bit of adversity in their lives. Like they just can't figure out how to deal with anybody who doesn't like them or anybody who thinks they're just absolute shit. Like, you can't just learn how to deal with that. And that's what you got to fucking learn, you stupid kids. Like, well, you can't just go through your life, like, expecting everybody to give you a big hug and a slap on the cheek.
I think the worst part about it as well is it's like when they say, oh my God, I'm playing bad because you're flaming me. Yeah. It's like, no, dude, I would have no cause to talk to you if we were fucking rolling and you were winning your lane. I wouldn't have cause to type anything except GJ. Like, that would be it, right? Yeah. I'm typing to you because you suck. Because you're playing bad. I'm not making you play bad. And it's become this excuse that the most disruptive influence in a game are people that cannot play.
Yeah.
People that make consistently bad decisions. And if you think otherwise, you do not play solo queue. You obviously do not play solo queue. Like, I don't even mind. Right, I've won games where we've had deliberate feeders, and they're telling the opposite team like where they are, because they all go there for the free kill. And while they're doing that, fuck it, let's take a tower, let's take dragon, let's take baron. Brilliant, great. I've won loads of those games. The games I can't win is where some shit prick who's gone 0 for 3 in the first 6 minutes thinks that he's going to suddenly win a fight, you know, like against someone who's just been back to the shop and bought fucking 2 items he hasn't got. You know, they're the games you lose. That's disruptive. That's fucking toxic. If you're going to apply the term, at least apply it to that. Toxic's bullshit. Like, honestly. Like, Dota 2, like, I love League of Legends. It's my MOBA game of choice. But Dota 2, the one thing it's got right is how it handles flamers in the game. Like, on a very rare occasions, you get a global mute. But the other thing it does is it puts you in non-priority queue, and you end up with, like, in this almost like purgatory of other assholes. So you only play with other assholes. If you're an asshole, you only play with other assholes. What's wrong with that system? No bans necessary. Do that. Fucking hell. I could cope with that. What I can't cope with is fucking being called toxic by every 2-bit little puss that can't fucking handle me saying maybe you should, you know, go and play a few normals before he comes back to ranked with his 2 fucking wins and 300 losses, you know?
Yeah. And I love that in the chat that everybody's like saying that this is bullshit and it's just toxic people trying to fucking like reaffirm that they're doing the right thing. And I love that. I love that. Please keep going about how I'm toxic and how Richard's toxic and how your fucking dad that doesn't talk to you anymore is toxic. Like, just keep fucking going on, man. Like, I don't give a shit. Okay? Like, you're the exact kind of fucking person that pisses me off, and you fuel the flames, okay? And I know people, you know, I have good friends that love to just fuck with people like you. They'll just love to just mess with kids, okay? And they love it. Oh, they love taking the piss out of people. They enjoy it. That's the only reason they play this game, is just to find more ways to fuck with people. And you know what? You gotta deal with that. Because there's gonna be people like that in every part of your life. There's gonna be that janitor that likes to open up your desk and move everything around every night just to see your face in the morning and how pissed off you are about it, and you can't figure out who the fuck's doing it. Like, that's gonna happen. Your whole entire life, people will fuck with you until you're in the grave. And you just gotta fucking learn how to deal with it, you little kids. You gotta, like, stop trying to suck each other off and feel so good and sing Kumbaya in a circle. Like, you gotta fucking get over it, man. Like, oh my god.
Oh, Mr. True. I tell you what, I do love it, man, because you understand what trash talk's really all about. So let's do some more trash talk then. CLG. And not releasing this Thorin interview, this grilled interview. Look, I've had numerous run-ins, not necessarily with CLG, but with top League of Legends organizations. They basically won't let me interview their players. So, like, we control our content. They want editorial input on, like, articles that I'm writing about the players or interviews I do with their players. And it's completely not within that. You know, you ain't got the fucking right to do that. I'm the journalist, right. You know? Either give me access or don't. Like, but don't, once you've given me the access, try and retroactively, you know, make me do it. So what do you think about this? Because I was totally on Thorin's side. If I was Thorin, I would have released the interview. It sounds like that bridge is burned anyway. Give a fuck. Let the people see it.
I feel terrible for Thorin, first off, because he had to go through the effort to, you know, film this, like, 1 hour plus interview.
Yeah, nearly 2 hours. It was an hour and 45 minutes.
And then he's got to edit it all, which is a pain in the ass. That is a fucking huge pain in the ass to edit a video that long. So he's got to do all that by himself. And then he finally gets to the stage where he's going to put it up. He's excited. He'll put it up on his website, you know, generate revenue, whatever. And then he's just telling that, fuck off, you know? It makes me look like a bad guy. It's like, are you joking me? Like you just fucking wasted this guy's time. And
what I find interesting is they didn't even say what it was. They didn't even state clearly what the reason was. You know, they didn't give Duncan an opportunity to edit. They said the entire 1 hour and 45-minute interview somehow made CLG and Double Lift look bad. What the fuck? I mean, what can you possibly say? What did he do? Read Mein Kampf? Like, is this... Like, what the fuck could you do for an hour and 45 minutes? Like, I don't understand it. Maybe you say one thing, and then maybe, as a journalist, you say, okay, well, we could cut that out, just so you don't lose, like, a whole fucking 3 hour of your time once you've set it up and organized it. And it's probably longer once you spend your time chasing league players, because they live like rock stars, you know? Yeah. So, incredible. But it's not the first time CLG have behaved like this. It's ridiculous. And this is why Travis gets all this access. Because, you know,
Travis.
yeah, fucking Travis. I mean, this guy, this is why League of Legends has Travis as a journalist, man. And, like, is their main representative. You know, like, everyone says, oh, we love the grilled interviews. Yeah, Thorin's not just about interviews, dude. This guy could be doing so much more for your scene. Like, but instead, it's Travis that's got 40,000 Twitter followers. It's Travis that gets all the access to the players. It's, you know, and what he produces is just this Riot approved, organization approved, player approved bullshit. And all he ever does is talk about how he's friends with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a journalist. I don't want to be your fucking friend. If there's a story to tell, I'll tell it. You know? Like, maybe we can have a good professional relationship. Maybe have a bad one. Either way, I'm doing my fucking job. You know, like, but Travis is the fucking, hey, Double Lift, why don't we make a show together? Like the Odd Couple. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, and the Thorin shit is terrible. But, oh my god, Travis is amazing. Okay, Travis is the most, like, fucking osmosis piece of shit that just, like, you know, schmoozes his way into the scene and does literally nothing. Like, I watch his interviews. I don't even know why I fucking watch his interviews. Because I could just, like, imply everything that happens in his interviews. Like, I could just fucking guess that it's happening.
Yeah.
I never look at something that Travis finds out and be like, holy shit, I didn't expect that. Like,
well,
right.
if you want an example, if you want a prime example, like, and to everyone in the chat, right? Like, here's what I would urge you to do. There's an interview on YouTube. I think it's called Travis Takes a Trip Down Memory Lane with Shox. And here's the story behind that, right? Like, obviously, Travis and Shox kind of knew each other. Shox has gone on, I would say, to bigger things. You know, she's front and center in the LCS. She's very well liked and getting better at her job all the time. You know, and I sparked a debate about females getting legs up in esports off the back of her, which I didn't really mean to do. It wasn't meant to detract from her necessarily. It was just just me being an asshole and let's have the conversation. But anyway, in this interview, in this video, he just keeps going on about how they're friends. Like, he's going, would you say we're very good friends? And then doing his creepy smile, which I won't try and emulate. Like, what the fuck? Why do you want everyone to know you're friends with people that have succeeded in League of Legends? Like, you're a journalist. Like, just do the interview, tell the fucking story, get the fuck out of there. Like, I can't believe this guy. He's probably on a cushy fucking deal at GameSpot. I just feel sorry for League of Legends because everywhere around it, it's becoming a real sport. But where's the ESPN quality of journalism? Where's the guy that's going to come in and, you know, expose organizations that don't pay out money? Where's the guy who's going to come in and break transfer stories? Like, I try to do that, and Travis tells me, oh, actually, your information's outdated because I know about everything. Well, fucking report on it then. Report on it. You're a journalist. If you know and I don't, why the fuck am I doing it first? You're the journalist. You've got the access. Honestly, man, seriously, it makes me so sad. It makes me sad. It doesn't even make me angry. Everyone's going, oh, he's going angry. Look how angry. No, fuck that. Right? I'm just sad because, like, you know, this LOL, League of Legends, is the fucking closest esports has got to true legitimately being recognized as a esport universally, not just in Korea, universally. And we haven't got a universal esports journalist to go along with that. We got some dude who used to work in a call center for Activision who just, his idea of an interview is, are we friends? Are we cool? Am I your bro? Can I come to your house? Are we best buds? Can we make a show? Fuck
Are we
that,
gonna get
man.
lunch
Come
together
on.
next?
Yeah, because we're totally, I totally know everybody. Like, people have got to see through that shit and start voting it. Like, get yourself a fucking real journalist. Doesn't even need to be me. You know, I'm not saying make it me. Just make it somebody else, guys, honestly. So anyway, back to the point. So yeah, I mean, seriously, you talk about toxic shit. I said this back when the whole TSM thing blew up with Reggie. What's genuinely toxic is Riot kind of not intervening and making organizations, you know, heal a little bit. Stop living on fucking cloud nine, no pun intended, and behaving like they're fucking rock stars and treating the press like shit. Like, Riot should want all of the press to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah. I forgot to bring up the Reginald thing because that's like case in point of how the community like responds to bullying. It's like Reginald was obviously like fucking with Dyrus, right? I mean, like what he said is like completely unjustified. He's just fucking with him. Like it's obvious, but everybody wanted to like stand up for Dyrus like he was like a fucking 10-year-old girl. Like he was getting raped by Reginald, you know, like the big bad gorilla was raping him. And it was ridiculous because he could stand up for his own fucking self. You know, he's a grown ass man. You know, he can deal with his own shit. He has a bunch of money, so he doesn't even care, probably. I mean,
He's bigger than Reggie.
Yeah, and he can fuck Reginald up.
Have you ever seen those like giant frogs that just sit there super still, and then like something bigger than it will just land next to it, like a bird or a cat or something, and the frog will just go and it'll just fucking swallow it whole. I was waiting for that when I watched that Darius Reggie video. I thought Darius was just gonna coil out his long tongue and just fucking just gone. Like what happened to Reggie? Or Darius ate him? Okay, cool. Let's get Bjergsen in.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, toxic, man. I mean, it's just right. There's so many issues within the fucking whole League of Legends scene across the board, and like the thing that Riot constantly addresses and chucks money at is people like raging in solo queue. Mute button fixes it, dudes. No more money needs to be spent. Just grow a fucking pair. All right. So I totally agree with you. You are Mr. Truth, if you ask me.
Well, thanks for having me. Oh, and everybody in the chat that can't figure out what the fuck trash talk means, I want you to call in, okay? I want you to call in and tell me how shit I am, okay? Like, call in, tell me how shit I am. Tell me how Richard is shit. Tell me how toxic is the best thing since Jesus Christ, okay? Call in and say that, because that's the whole fucking point of trash talk. It's not to be, rainbows and sunshine. You gotta fucking piss some people off. That's the point.
I tell you what, your check's in the mail, brother. I love it. Thanks a lot. And a great call as always. We'll see if you're the caller of the week this time around. Thanks a lot, man.
Right, I'll see you later, man.
Take care, dog. So we are going to have some more LOL content in just a minute, but let's meditate, because there was lots going on in that call. And okay, everyone's going to breathe. Maybe my eyeballs did roll up into my head for like a few minutes, and maybe I did go like, start speaking in tongues. But these things fucking get my goat, man. I just want everything to be perfect. Love me or hate me, I fucking give a shit about esports, right? Why the fuck would I be doing this? Why would I be broadcasting this show from my fucking small ass bedroom while everyone else is living large in esports money if I didn't give a fuck? It certainly ain't for Twitch TV ads. We don't even run any. So anyway, add Trash Talk TV to your Skype if you want to call in. I recommend calling in. I think this could be a whole cathartic healing thing for all of us. Anyway, we've got another LOL caller. Gareth, what does this one want to talk about?
So this one wants to talk about how the NA region in League of Legends is being held back by the majority of challenger teams that are lazy and unmotivated to work hard.
Okay, well let's do it then. I always like talking about NA League of Legends. I actually follow NA League probably more than European because I find it more interesting. So Derek, can you hear me? Hello, Derek.
Let's hope he hasn't gone AFK on us.
It's all right. I could do two voices. Would that help? Oh, hey man, I'm Derek.
I can pretend to be Derek.
No, that's not going to work because you don't sound. I don't trust you to do an American accent.
I don't trust me to do it. Hello, I'm Derek. How's it going?
Oh my god, yeah.
I could do a help.
Fuck it. Hey. Hey,
sorry.
No, it's all right, man. We were just doing impressions of what you might sound like. We got it totally wrong. So hey, how's it going, Derek? You okay, brother?
Yeah, I already called him once before, but everyone made fun of my accent, so like I've been afraid to call in for a few weeks, but I'm not afraid anymore. All right.
Good. I'm glad. Fuck those assholes, man.
Yeah,
the guys
whatever.
who don't call are the biggest pussies of all time. They sit there and they put their opinions on Reddit and they put their opinions in Twitch TV chat, and when it comes back to articulating them, they don't do it. So ignore those fucking bitches. Right, so you're talking about North American teams and how they're held back by lazy-ass challenger quality people. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I really think that the challenger guys, only a few of them are actually maybe could compete with the LCS teams. Complexity, I think they have a real shot. Maybe Quantic and what's the TBD, they might also have a shot. But some of these teams are just like terrible like motivation and work ethic. Like one team quit after 14 minutes in a game. They just rage quit. I saw on Reddit.
Which team was that? Do you know which one it was?
It's called Fidelis. And I heard after that game one of their players also left the team. Just like 14 minutes they were playing versus Quantic, and then Quantic just was killing them so hard that they just quit even before they could surrender. So
here's the thing. I mean, let's be honest, right? The North American scene, it's not a hotbed of hard work. It's the only scene. In Europe, I don't think I've seen the insult try hard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. sure someone will correct me if I am wrong. But if I have seen it, it's not registered. But I see it all the time in North American League. I see people going, "Oh my God, this guy's trying hard. This game's too hard. Everything's hard, hard, hard. I'd rather be out partying, doing hits of X, going to a frat house, whatever it is Americans like to do." And I know, man. I just think there is almost this sort of endemic culture of we want to be cool. Being cool means you don't work. So I think that's part of it. So yeah, I agree with you. I definitely think there's a lack of work ethic, and I would say it doesn't just apply to the teams that are knocking on the door to LCS. There are teams in the LCS that
even the pros themselves. Like for instance, there was a guy that posted on Reddit today. It was the top 50 solo queue players, and almost all of them are big name pros in the Korean in the Korean pros. And if you look at the the NA solo queue, it's mostly amateurs. There's Wild Turtle and a few different pros, but tons and tons of the challengers are amateurs. And so like even the pros are not motivated. But I mean, no challenger teams are really motivating the LCS teams. Like there's no motivation. The bottom teams, they don't really have to fear getting knocked out, except for Velocity. I think they will get knocked out.
Yeah, and, Velocity will. Yeah.
And maybe Curse, because they have a new lineup. It's possible that they could get knocked out just because they're not got good synergy in time.
Do you think Riot could be doing more though? Here's one of the things. Work ethic is about reward. And I know that LCS is like this huge, big, floppy, super large carrot dangling on everyone's, it's just there, just on your chin. You can almost take a bite of a carrot. This is getting very sexual. But what I'm trying to say is it's there. It's within touching distance. You can, people know that they've got this chance to get into LCS. And that is a huge motivating factor. But the minute you realize that you're going to come close but not actually get there, what else is there? And this is why I think Riot needs to prop up the amateur scene a lot more. There needs to be more money coming into the amateur scene. There needs to be a recognized amateur league. It needs to be structured into tiers. Like all successful sports are structured into tiers. And one acts as a feeder for the one at the very top. I think that's what we need. And I would argue that lack of work ethic is there because there are so few rewards. Like, if you can get into LCS, brilliant. If you can't, everyone who's outside of LCS, or like players who've been in LCS and then come out of it, they are beyond demotivated right now. And I think Riot could do a lot to help prop up the scene and professionalize it by focusing on the amateurs.
And I think that also a problem is that not many organizations want to promote an amateur scene in NA. We got Quantic. They're a big organization, and Complexity. They're a pretty big organization, but not within like LoL. And so it's like only those two people. They got the organization to motivate their players, to keep them to go into scrims and not canceling scrims and stuff like that.
And here's the thing, right? D-Man's made a good point saying you're out of date. Yeah, I'm aware of the Zero League. It's not doing anything right now, though, is it? I mean, this is my point. It's like, it's long overdue. We're like, what? We've just finished the 3rd season of League of Legends. League of Legends has been out since 2009. It's been the top esports title for at least 2 years. And now we're only getting to the stage where, we've got the Coke Zero League. And am I right in saying that that's only going to affect America, or am I wrong there? Is the Coke Zero League just for America? I don't know. I'll find out. Someone will tell me in a second when the chat catches up. But, I think, there's a lot more that could be done. And again, I've seen it in Europe when I go to events and you see these smaller teams kind of competing in these, for chump change compared to what the LCS is. It's hugely demotivating for teams. And what we need is, like I said, we need structure. We need more structure in place. And maybe this Coke Zero League is, going to be like a fucking step in the right direction, but I'm gonna have to wait and see how it pans out before I can even judge that. I mean, like, it could just be another Riot take the Coke money, and there's no real benefit long term. So I'm gonna have to wait and see before I can pass judgment. I think like most people.
Yeah, I think that the structure is the most needed thing. I mean, we do got these lots of different challenger leagues now, like the NA, CL, and stuff like that. But like for instance, just last week, Loco Doco wrote on his Twitter. He said that his team they had planned to have 3 different teams scrim them, and they were planning on having more than 10 games for that day of
Yep.
scrims, and then 2 teams canceled all their scrims with them, and the other team gave up in the middle of a few games, and so they just like had the day wasted they had the whole day planned of scrims. So it's just lack of motivation for a lot of these teams unless they got an organization like Complexity or Quantic backing them, I
Okay,
think.
well, picking up on D-Man's comments that Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm loving this. It's great that D-Man's here to interact and keep me honest. Let's say that do you think, Derek? Do you think that this Zero League will motivate players to maybe actually take it a bit more seriously? I mean, do you think there will be this motivation there and things will change?
I think it's possible, but I think that I don't know. I think that the players themselves have to find the motivation. Like if they're just lazy, they're, they're never going to get motivated. I mean, if they're just naturally lazy people, how are they ever going to get motivated? And I mean, maybe money, but I mean, I don't know.
I've never
Like,
met an American who wasn't motivated by money. I will say that, but I don't know. I think the issue is, and look, maybe again, I'll always be the first to admit, like, okay, maybe I've not really looked at the whole bigger picture with the Coke Zero League, but certainly I think even if we were to move away from the incentivization, there's definitely an attitude problem, and that's almost exacerbated by the way that pro teams and amateur teams interact, because obviously they don't get to interact at any independent tournaments. LCS teams have to get, if I'm correct, they have to get permission to play in non-LCS events, and certainly smaller ones aren't even worth their time in competing at. So what you've got is you have got this huge discrepancy between the chasing pack, the amateurs, and the people at the top. And indeed, the word amateur is used by the professional teams as a huge insult when they interact with these chasing teams. We can see what a little bit of hunger will do. You know, we've definitely seen that in Europe, where, you know, we've seen teams like Alternate and guys like that, you know, come in and make waves. And I think Nip, obviously it's been up and down for them, but they definitely had a great run, good results. In America, you know, Cloud9 were the new kids on the block, and they've shown what hard work can do. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of old guard teams out there that basically live in this artificially inflated position. And that if they had to sort of deal with more kind of, if you like, conflict, more kind of interactions with these amateur teams, more opportunities for them to lose this hallowed position, I think they'd book their ideas up. I think it would be a very good thing for all of them. But, you know, that professionalism needs to permeate right the way through the league. And I definitely think right now there's only a few teams that really embody it, be it LCS or amateur. You know, and like I say, Cloud9, I've seen a lot of talk on Reddit about them being douchebags and being very up their own arse and very arrogant. Even Monte Cristo said that on the World Broadcasting. They said they were a very arrogant team. I think, you know, Cloud9, the way they've treated the game, the way they've treated their own progress, they're the benchmark for any team right now, that people should look at them and emulate it.
yeah, and I mean, I think Cloud9's probably the best thing to help in A from being complacent. I mean, all the top teams all the teams in LCS are trying to figure out how to beat Cloud9, and but I mean a lot of the bottom teams, they don't really need to worry about challenger teams beating them. They can just stay complacent forever, and like maybe a challenger team might knock one of them out, but not all of them are going to get knocked out. And just like I don't know how I don't know. It seems like it's going to take a long time for it to improve. I don't know if it ever get to the level of like Korea or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's a blend, isn't it? It's cultural, And like I said, there's going to be some incentives. I think what we'll do is we'll revisit once this Coke Zero League gets started. Let's see if the teams step up and they're all fighting hard to fucking actually get something out of it. And you know, maybe it isn't just a fucking big sponsor. Maybe it is something that's going to bring this even closer to that ideal of being a recognized sport. Anyway, Derek, I am glad you overcame your fear. It was great to talk to you, and I hope to speak to you again, brother. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right, take care, man. So there you go. North American teams and their lack of work ethic. We've definitely seen some examples of that. But at the other end of the scale, we've also seen some teams work hard. And, you know, Cloud9, we mentioned that. I got to take my hats off as well. TSM were looking terrible going into the Worlds and then stepped it up. And they stepped it up despite all their internal problems. So mad respect to them. You know, I'm a TSM fan. I know not a lot of people believe it because I've wrote things about them, like, well, Chaox, he was ex-TSM when I wrote that, but about the Reggie thing, about his behaviour. I'm a TSM fan, love TSM, my favourite team. Anyway, if you want to call in and talk some more about LoL or any esport, anything that's on your mind at all, add Trash Talk TV to Skype. We're going to grab another caller. Gareth, who've we got? And try not to do an impression of this one.
Okay, he is American as well, I think, so that would be a bit weird.
Okay.
But his name is Gavand, and he wants to talk about. Let me just quickly check. It was the 3-hour Swarm game the other day, StarCraft 2 game. So he wants to, I guess, give his 2 cents on that.
Man, I'm so glad someone brought this to the table. Let's get him on, and hopefully the call is going to be more interesting than the game.
He doesn't seem to want to accept the call.
Oh, he's hung up. Has he changed his mind? Come on.
It doesn't seem to be working, so we can go into another League of Legends call if you want that.
Okay, well, all right. Well, what we'll do is quickly, come on, take 2 minutes, see if you can get it working, because I really want to bring up this 3-hour call thing. I'll tell you one thing. I've had a few more tweets and some messages and stuff coming in. I thought this was a great point. Someone who didn't want the name read out because they fear the toxic ire of the League of Legends community, they messaged me to say, it puts it in perspective that if Michael Jordan were a League of Legends player, Riot would have permanently banned him. And, you know, there we go. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think there's sometimes the upholding of the Summoner's Code overlooks, you know, a lot of, you know, some of the finer qualities and what the qualities are about. Like sometimes a little bit of trash talking, it comes hand in hand with competition. You know, I've done interviews with some periphery players, not in LCS, and they all have said that they feel trash talking is a very underused psychological tool within League of Legends, whereas you get it in FPS games. I mean, everyone who's watched COD console knows that. Right, Gavand, are we having another go? Let's have another go, because I want to talk about this 3-hour game thing, dude.
Yeah, we're going to try it. I might have fixed the problem. Let's find out.
Ooh, fix the problem. Let's see. Is he here, Gavand?
No, it's still not working.
Oh, that is disappointing. Gavand, come on, man. Don't let me down, bro. Right, have we got anyone else who wants to talk about this 3-hour game? Because I feel if we don't address it, it might not get addressed. I'm looking at the time.
Actually, I'm going to try one more because I think he has just done something, so we can try that.
Right, let's try. Come on, let's do this.
Hello?
Hey, Gavand, here he is. How are we doing? You all right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm like the first person who had technical difficulties.
No, fuck that. We have technical difficulties every week. This is very much an amateur production. It's great to get you on. I am so glad someone wanted to call in and talk about this 3-hour game. So, what are your thoughts about it, bro?
Should I summarize what happened, or?
Yeah. Start at the beginning, because maybe, you know, obviously there's people from all different games and stuff. Let's talk about it. Summarize.
So, it's between 2 European players. One name is Firecake. He's like a French Zerg. The other one is Mana, who is a Polish Protoss, who is like pretty famous. I think he won a DreamHack at one point, so he's pretty good. Mm-hmm. The game was on Acheron Wastes, and pretty much at some point a stalemate happened where Mana lost a bunch of his probes, and he couldn't rebuild them because he was like supply blocked. Mm-hmm. And they both like got a bunch of money. Like they both had a bank of like 20k, and pretty much the Zerg kept sending swarm hosts at the Protoss, and the Protoss kept killing it for, I would say, 2.5 hours. And then eventually, I think Mana got tired of it, and he went for it, and he lost.
Can I just say something quickly? Gavan, do you keep moving away from your microphone because it keeps getting really quiet and loud again?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stay close to it. It's like a really cheap mic, so.
That's all right. Don't worry about it, dog. I was enjoying it. It was making. I had this image of you kind of rocking back and forth, like, and which
I actually was rocking back and forth.
right. And I'll tell you what, I'd be rocking back and forth. I was fucking traumatized after this piece of shit 3-hour game. I can't even believe that there's an esports title where this sort of thing can happen, because we're trying to do everything here to make it appeal to as many people as possible, to make it look exciting, fun, fast, furious, frenetic, whatever you want to say about it. 3 hours of just people too scared to fight is absolute bullshit. And here's what I want to ask you though. Right? Do you see this as a problem with the current StarCraft 2 metagame, or do you see this as two players being just pieces of shit, for want of a better phrase, but for different reasons? And obviously, I've done lots of interviews on Mana, so I'll qualify what I mean. He knew if he engaged, there was a good chance he would lose, and he was trying to stall. He wanted to engage on his terms. Firecake knew he was kind of holding the cards and was waiting for Mana to engage, which is why you had this prolonged stalemate. And it was indeed the stalemate that drew the game out. So, do you see it as a metagame problem or a player problem?
Here's the thing. If this was a metagame problem, this would happen more often. This is a one time this happened in the last 4 months. The last time it happened was Lucifron versus Gosu User. And it was again like a really shitty map. And I think really the problem here is the admins. They didn't call the game early enough. Because in Brood War, this type of game happened once. And it was Flash versus some Protoss. And I know everybody loves Brood War. It's like the golden fucking standard, like, oh my god. But this happened, like, they both had unbeatable armies, and whoever attacked into each other would lose. And it was a televised match. Like, it was going on for an hour or so, and they just called the game and redid it.
Yeah.
So they were like, because Flash took his hands off the keyboard and started sitting in his booth without even touching the board. He's like, well, that just happened. But I think the admin should have just called it, being like, okay, just redo. Because I think Tails was waiting for them. Like, there's a Korean player sitting there waiting for those two to finish. And in Korea, it's like 4 in the morning. So just call the game and do a restart. There's nothing to do with the metagame, because I watched the GSL finals and none of that shit was happening. The games were really good.
Now, one of the examples, right? Everyone's been saying this on Twitter because people have mentioned what you have, and that is that why couldn't we just restart the game rather than let it run for 3 hours? And loads of people went, "Oh my god, that would never happen in real sports." Wrong. You're wrong, and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Because snooker is a sport. It's a sport, whether you fucking like it or not, whether you think it's a bunch of drunk fucking middle-aged losers knocking balls around the table. It is, but it's still a fucking sport, right? And what they do is, if you get in a situation where no one is actually sort of trying to pot a ball because they're trying to play for a long fucking protracted, sorry about deafening you all, but you are wrong, a long protracted situation, what they do is they fucking just reset the table. They say, right, this has gone on too long. Bullshit to this. Let's restart it. Let's restart the fucking frame. And that's what they do. And that's a real sport. And if it's good enough for a real sport, then fuck it. Then, people should be doing it. I said, why, when it gets to the point where, as you say, neither player wants to commit, an admin should just say, fuck it then. You can't penalise one player. Like, Mana knew if he engaged, he was going to lose. Everyone knows that Firecake played lame as fuck, right? So,
yep.
And
I can't blame him though, because there's nothing you can do against that army. Like, that's the units that you build. So, and it's really the map's fault, in my opinion. Like, it can't happen on any other map except this one. So they should just get rid of it. Simple as that.
Well, perhaps. I don't know. But I think you've raised a very interesting point. After the game, Mana came out and said, Blizzard, your move. That was his tweet, Blizzard, your move. As if to say, this is a metagame problem. But this is the first time I can think of, since Heart of the Swarm, where I have seen a game peter out in such a criminally boring fashion. And you're absolutely right, that if it was a fucking metagame problem, it would happen all the time, right?
Yep. I mean, nobody even uses Swarm hosts in PvZ that much. Everybody goes Roach Hydra and Vipers. So
I mean, what would you do? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put you in charge. I'm gonna put you in charge of the whole of StarCraft. You run everything, right? You run all the tournaments. You run Blizzard. You run the development team. Whatever you think you need to run, you run it. How would you fix this problem? How would you stop this happening?
well, first thing, I would arrest Idra and make sure he doesn't rape me with a tire iron because I know he's. No, I'm kidding. For the whole stalemate situation,
Yeah.
I would put a time limit on the game. I would say if the game isn't over in an hour and a half, then it's a regame.
But I mean, again, is that gonna get rid of the stalemate problem? Because if you were in a disadvantaged situation, which is you noticed, the whole manner and in this situation, right? He knows he doesn't want to engage on. He's waiting for that.
It's such a niche thing, though. Like it's like such an abnormally. Like it happened in Dota 2, right? When it was like DK versus somebody else. Like there was like a 1 hour and 30-minute farm fest where nobody attacked each other. Like 2 Chinese teams were playing at the international. I don't remember exact. I'm pretty sure somebody knows who likes Dota. So it happens in other places. It's just such a niche thing that I think people made a bigger deal out of it than it is.
How do you feel about the idea of having a referee? Right, okay. I know lots of you
just call it.
Yeah, well, here's what I was going to say, right? I know lots of listeners, viewers, whatever you want to call them. I know lots of them will be fans of the UFC, right? We all love a bit of UFC, right? Okay, we all like to imagine that we're not nerds who play computer games and maybe we can beat somebody up. Everyone fucking
Vegas. I was at the fight last Sunday, actually.
Man, I tell you what, Sanchez, brother, fuck me, still a beast, incredible. Anyway, won't turn this into a UFC show, right. In UFC, if there's ever a point where 2 fighters are on top of each other or circling each other and not doing anything, the ref comes in and says, right, go to work. Go to work. Go to work. If they're on top of each other and no work's occurring, they separate them and put them back into a neutral position so initiates can happen again. Or if they feel one fighter is being deliberately negative, they can deduct points and put sanctions on that player, issue that player with a warning. If a similar system was introduced into StarCraft, like a ref could come in and go, sorry, you're being absolutely lame as fuck. I'm going to call this game against you if you don't stop it. Would that help the game?
Yeah, I think actually, what is the job of an admin in StarCraft? Are they just hosts? Like they just host the game and that's it?
Because I think it's like both players have stopped having a cigarette break. They're ready to play. Let's start. I mean, sorry, admins, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a big deal. I think in this case, Firecake would have been screwed if they did a redo. So they would have had to penalize. I don't know, who would you even penalize in this case? Would you say Mana go do something, or would you say Firecake stop building swarm hosts? I don't know.
Look, here's the thing. I mean,
there would have been a shitstorm.
I'm not even the guy to ask. I don't really understand enough about the metagame. My understanding of the game is really fucking limited, especially Heart of the Swarm. But my inkling would be if, you should reward aggressive and exciting play. I think that should apply to all sports. You should always reward attacking play. So you would have to make a decision about who was being the more aggressive in that instance.
Yeah.
I don't know who that would be.
It would have been a shitstorm either way because
somebody
would have gotten shafted, and then they would have been bitching, and then.
Here's what I do know.
Probably just call it a draw and be like redo.
Yeah, here's what I do know. Mana's capable of winning games. He's a great player. No disrespect to Firecake. I don't think he's in the same league. If a sanction was taken against him, everyone's going to go wild, as I said. If a sanction was taken against him, that's going to be his 15 minutes of fame, and then we ain't going to hear about it again. Mana's actually got a chance to win a tournament. So, fuck it. I mean, I might want to side with him rather than just some guy, trying to cheese his fucking way to some awful victory. But anyway, final. What was that? Sorry.
I wonder if Firecake actually won. I don't remember.
Well, but I know Mana lost his next game.
Yeah.
I think after that point, you just couldn't be asked. Understandably so, because who the fuck would be? So, I mean, well, yeah, people are all coming in with what Mana should have done. Let's not get into that. Let's end on this talk about metagame, because you seem like you're more equipped to talk about it than me. Maybe you can educate me a little bit. So let's talk about it. Right. Let's. Again, you're in charge of the whole thing. You can alter the metagame radically. Do you think the metagame needs to be altered? And if so, how would you alter it? Because everyone's talking about how the game is fucking broken right now and it doesn't make for interesting matches. And I got to be honest, like I thought Wings of Liberty was getting pretty stale towards the end, but I really struggle watching StarCraft 2 these days. And I don't know if that's down to me or down to the game or whatever. But what would you change?
What would I change? Let's see. I would say be very conservative on the changes. Be the laissez-faire approach. You know, just let the metagame develop, because so many times we have overreacted and shit got nerfed that didn't need to be nerfed, or players like, okay, here's a perfect example. I think Mr. Truth was on your show last week, and he said something like, "Oh, Widow mines are bullshit," right?
Yeah.
He talked about that, and he himself said that he's a League of Legends player. He doesn't play StarCraft anymore. And this is what it was like in the beginning of Heart of the Swarm. Like, Terrans were winning 65, 70% of the games. But right now, it's 50-50. And the truth is, Zerg's completely figured out how to play versus them. And they made it, and they gave it a tiniest little buff by making the Overseer move slightly faster. And the games are fucking fantastic. Like, I don't understand why people are saying that they don't like it. Maybe it's because, like, I play a lot, so to me it's very interesting. But I just love the game the way it is right now. Sometimes we get bullshit games, but I will tell you, most of the time it involves foreigners. When the Koreans play, to me, it's, like, amazing. So, fucking David Kim, you're doing a good job.
All right, man. Well, yeah, don't let Idra hear you say that. That tire iron is going to be double dipping if you say that. But anyway, look, Gavand, it was great to hear from you. I'm going to quickly take another call before the end of the show. So thanks a lot for, again, enlightening us. It was something I really wanted to talk about, that 3-hour game, big talking point in StarCraft. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you. See you.
All right. Yeah, we'll do. Take care. So, yeah, we finally got through with Gavand, the 3-hour game. It's interesting. Chat seems really divided. And I'm divided on it. Like, on the one hand, yeah, these games should happen. But I just think, again, we're in a precarious situation in StarCraft. When things like this occur, it doesn't make the game look good. It doesn't make the game look fucking spectator friendly. And like, all we're talking about at the moment is kind of how much this fucking sucked. You know, there's definitely things we need to tweak if we're going to move forward, is all I'm going to say. Maybe you've got an idea as to what that can be. And if you call in and say you've got the solution, fuck it, I'll take the call. Trash Talk TV on your Skype. Gareth, we've...
It's funny you say that.
What's that?
We've got a guy who wants to counter-argue what we just had on about how to fix a game.
That's what this is about. Point and counterpoint. So let's get him on. What's this guy's name?
His name's Chris. He's actually been on the show before.
Oh, another repeat caller, eh? So, it's Chris McMahon. I remember that name. Shit. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm like a little shaken right now because you ever seen the movie Rudy?
Yeah.
We have a chant in our group of friends, and it's like Gold League, Gold League, Gold League. 'Cause that's what I was just hearing right now. Is like a gold leaguer running around telling everyone how it is, and I'm just chanting Gold League in my head. Let me tell you how the meta really works. Yes, for Hydras and other openers like Ling Hydra and whatnot, you're not going to experience a 3-hour game. Mm-hmm. But if the Zerg does go Swarm Hosts, then the proper counter is for Protoss to probably get some sort of air. He gets an Oracle, and he uses Revelation, or whatever the fuck it's called. Right. And then he uses Tempest to snipe the Vipers. Okay? Now, this doesn't happen in Platinum League because people are still struggling with Widow Mines, 65% win-loss. But in the higher leagues, you reveal the units and push in. Now, the proper counter for Zerg is to use Spore Crawlers, because Zerg actually does not have a good, cost-effective anti-air. You have to pull in Vipers. Problem is, you get feedback. So how do you handle this? Well, you use Swarm Hosts to spread your creep, and you push up with Spore Crawlers, and you turtle. Now, the Protoss then, conversely, cannot attack into the Zerg, because the Vipers will pull from the safety of the Spore Crawlers, and do like a chain pull into the spores and kill them. Again, not happening in Gold League. I can see we're having, as a High Master Zerg and Protoss player, this happens to me constantly. I have hour games on ladder all the time. If I see him going Swarm Host, I go, fuck. If I'm going Swarm Host, I go, fuck. I have to go Swarm Host here. And it's hours and hours and hours. And it is a metagame problem in that specific matchup with those specific units. And it is David Kim's problem because the whole point of the Swarm Host was to be area control. And it doesn't provide area control. It actually just causes you to have to turtle because it is not an aggressive unit. You're not rewarded for being aggressive in StarCraft. You're rewarded for being passive. And Defender's Advantage is non-existent. 2 of the 3 races don't actually properly use Defender's Advantage.
So basically, I mean, look, I mean, I can already tell, but let's humor me. I mean, you sound very much like you're in the whole kind of metagame, you know,
Absolutely.
kind of.
I'm the most knowledgeable person in the world on this. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
There's no one better.
Yeah, I'm glad. I don't know why you weren't called up to BlizzCon, but yeah, I mean, so tweaks need to be made. Tell me the tweaks. Come on, let's change some shit.
It's very simple. First off, warp-ins don't need to be anywhere outside the map, right? If you're a Zerg versus a Protoss, the reason the matchup is stale and the reason Zerg's turtle is because when you're trying to be aggressive as a Zerg, the Protoss can, or actually when you're trying to be aggressive as a Protoss, the Zerg does not get the army or defender's advantage that you normally get from other matchups. The units are melee range, so you don't get like building walls and things like that, like you said you would with a Terran. The warp in and of itself actually negates defender's advantage. It's actually a defender's disadvantage. Being in your base, you get walled off at your ramp and things like that. It just can't exist. The Swarm Host is a terribly designed unit. It actually blocks paths. Like a siege tank gives you area control, but you can at least run at the siege tank if you have a big enough army. Protosses can't actually run at it because by the time they kill the locusts, like another wave is spawning. You just got to get rid of the Swarm Host unit. In all honesty, StarCraft the way it is, it can't be fixed in the current like iteration of the game. There's lots of units that just don't make sense. You can't use a Lurker because of the Marauder or the Colossus. You can't have Hydras be a tier 1 unit because of the Colossus, and like it's just a giant fuckfest of bullshit. The Marine Marauder medevac ball is too strong. DPS per like square inch and stuff like that. It's unsavable, I would say at this point. Honestly, it just can't go any further.
But there's another expansion to come out, dude. I mean, surely there's got to be time to fix it, right? And they can address those issues in this expansion. I mean,
StarCraft's supposed to be like a multitask game, right?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be, but honest to God, 1 through 10 minutes is the same game every single time. And there's no reward for being aggressive early. If you look at Terran, the most aggressive early race, you have the Reaper, which isn't really that big of a deal. You kind of hold it off with Queens. And you've got the Hellions, which, again, Queens kind of hold it off. And it's just like you don't see reward for being aggressive. You don't get rewarded as a Zerg for building units early because you just run into a wall in, for example. It's just tough to be aggressive early, so people then fall back on, well, I'm going to be more greedy early. And so you have a boring game for 1 to 10 minutes. If you go watch any StarCraft game, mark my words, look at the game and look at the clock. There will not be an attack in a PvZ any game until about 12 minutes. Every single game. Every single one. And Terran, about 10 minutes too. How is it possible that a game has nothing for 1 to 10 minutes? It's crazy.
Well, okay, well, let me ask you another question. What would you pinpoint as the big mistake, like where it fucked up? I mean, like, because StarCraft 2 was the fucking king of the hill in esports for a long period of time, and obviously Brood War was before it. Right. So somewhere between the end of Wings of Liberty and the start of Heart of the Swarm, a mistake was made. What was it?
No, I think it was the uneducated original opinion of StarCraft 2. That like, right, okay. You know, like for example, the Colossus is a highly effective but incredibly boring unit, right? And then you have like High Templar, which are really good, but they're so easy and they like coat the screen. There's this great topic on Team Liquid about how because Storm is less effective, it now has to be easier to use. But it's still pretty effective, and it ends matches in like the blink of an eye. They need to somehow try to extend the matches. The reason Brewer is so great was because the AI was so shitty, you would have these elongated engagements, right? They don't actually micro their whole army at once because they couldn't do that. You would have a trail of units come in, right? And then you'd see like 20 units fighting, right? And then they'd kill each other off. And then you'd see 20 other units fighting. And like if one person was getting dominated, the units on the one side would kind of pile up. But right now in StarCraft 2, both armies meet at the exact same time. So a fight can last 30 seconds. And then that makes it less interesting to watch. You can have a tug and a pull, like a tug of war kind of thing, if only some of the army is meeting, right? Like I can win this small engagement, but then you can win the next one. And like it goes back and forth. You know, you're winning now, but all of a sudden the High Templar that were queued up are coming in. Bam, bam, bam. Now we're winning. It's like this great yin and yang. Oh, crap. Oh, shit. You know, now Day9's yelling over his other caster. Everyone's getting excited. We don't know how to cast because we don't actually have professional training. You know how it is. Like,
yeah. Well, look, man, I can't disagree with you. Like, it's good to get counterpoints because, look, fucking metagame stuff, honestly, I'm out of my fucking depth. There's no getting away from it. I like to pretend I know everything about everything, but like I recently did an AMA and I was just sticking down, like I even had to ask Chan Man. Like everyone was going, oh hey, what's your favorite tactic in StarCraft 2? I was like, tactics? There's tactics? Right, okay, cool. Chan Man, what should I say? And he told me like the worst, shittest, like cheese fucking move.
What, like 4-gate or something?
No, racks? 6 racks? I don't know.
Oh, Mega Racks. Yeah,
That
racks.
was it. Yeah, Mega Racks.
Mega
There you
Racks.
go. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like a night in Hooters. But yeah, so Mega Racks. I was like, yeah, I love that. And like, I don't know what it means. I ain't gonna bullshit. I wish I could follow the game more so I could be a better journalist about the game. But I'm interested in the scene and the people in the scene and the game. Metagame stuff is too much for me. It's like a bridge too far. I'm just a humble FPS player, folks. So yeah, but I definitely think, again, touching on your points, you know, there's like, it isn't as much fun to watch. For a guy like me who doesn't understand the metagame, watching it should be fun. Like no matter what,
Exactly.
it should be as fun to watch as it was back in the beginning. It shouldn't change. But something has changed. It's made the games very dull, very protracted. And I think this 3-hour game the other day was really the culmination of something ugly that's been kind of just growing in StarCraft 2. Yeah.
What that was. It's just unit design. Yeah.
So, but look, it's great to get you on. We're about to wrap up the show, so we might have time for one more caller. But look, Chris, always great to get you on, and I'll be chanting Gold League. We might try and get it recorded, like whenever a StarCraft 2 person.
I'll be on that. That's a soundbite.
Yeah, let's do it, right? I'll go through this VOD. I'll record you saying Gold League, right? And what we'll do is we'll fucking record it, and whenever a StarCraft 2 player comes on and it sounds like they're not talking like any sense, we'll just play that over the top of them and see if they notice. So that's what we're going to do. But anyway, look, just fucking take care of yourself. No doubt we'll catch you in the future. And thanks for calling him.
Adios.
All right, all the best. So there you go. People laughing at me. Fucking because of my racks. Racks on racks. That's what I thought. If it hasn't got a rack, I ain't fucking interested. Right, okay, let's have a look at the time. I know, Gareth, have we got time for one more call, do you think?
That's your call.
That's my call?
Yeah, you get the decision.
Okay, well, look. Tell me what we've got lined up.
Right, well, we've got about 5 or 6 calls. There's one that wants to talk about Reddit StarCraft and how that could be improved. There's one that's wanted to talk about League of Legends live event and the problems that he's experienced.
Interesting. Keep that on the back burner. Yeah, go on.
One was the LCS Super Team and his opinion on it.
Well, I do like the Super Team. Yeah, okay.
One was talking about the Coke Zero Challenger League. That was he commented on that when that was going on in the chat. And then let me just check what this final one was. It was to talk about Riot and the communication and how long it took them to implement spectator mode buyback and selling your item for the same amount of gold, stuff like that.
That sounds terrible. And I'll have you know, Jew Killer 420. What a great name that is. I'm going to ban you in a second. These are pectorals. Trust me. Yeah, we'll get that banned. We don't like anti-Semitism. Let's do the live guy. The guy who's been to League of Legends events live. So it carries on from last week. Let's do him. So sorry if all of those calls sound like, I know there was more interesting calls there, but I'm going to pick that one.
Okay. Let me just make sure he's definitely there because
all right.
That would be a mistake. And I'll drag him in, hopefully he answers.
Okay.
So it's calling him. It doesn't look like he's... Yeah. Because most of these calls have been on hold for quite some time.
Oh, are we here? Have we got a man?
Hello?
AJ, can you hear me, AJ?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. So I've
All right.
chosen you as our last caller, our final caller, because you piqued my interest. We talked a lot about League of Legends live events last week, and what we talked about was the spectacle. You know, how it was to watch, how they looked, blah blah blah. You said you've encountered some problems when you've attended them. Would love to hear more about this. So, what sort of problems?
Yeah, so basically I had 3 Gamescoms in a row, so 2011, 12, and 13. And basically always went to the League of Legends shows. And over the years, it just became more and more packed with people. Like in 2011, there were obviously many people watching it, but there still was a lot of space. You could walk around the other halls and look at the other stuff. In 2012, though, it already was very packed with people. The hall got closed with the League of Legends stuff. I think 2012 there was only League of Legends already in that hall. I can't really remember it. Like in 2011 there was also StarCraft going on. And now in 2013, Gamescom actually broke the visitor record. They got like, I don't know, 380,000 people or something. And it was just ridiculous. And the hall was so packed, like, if you wanted to have a seat, you had to arrive at like, I think we arrived at 7 a.m. or something, to even be there early enough to really enjoy the shows. Because if you're just standing at the side, it's just uncomfortable. If you're like standing there for 5-6 hours, that's not really having a great experience. The problem I'm seeing is if Riot wants to make another region finals of 2014 at Gamescom again, they will be having problems. The amount of people coming to see League of Legends is just going to rise. So I think they should not schedule these kinds of events at Gamescom. They should make their own like event. They should rent a hall to get all these people invited at Worlds, just maybe a bit smaller for your regional finals. And I think this year at Gamescom it was really horrible because you either went there to watch League of Legends and then you had to stay there the entire day. Many people don't know this Gamescom is a whole like the German E3, just nobody in the world cares about it. And yeah, there are all kinds of games you could test the new stuff.
Here's what I'm going to say to you, right? First of all, AJ, I don't believe that you can really take Gamescom as a typical League of Legends show. And while I know Riot have a huge influence in how that show is dictated, because ultimately they're one of the largest, if not the largest, exhibitor there, although I would wager, again, World of Tanks, having women dressed in fucking, costumes and fucking an actual life-sized Fokker plane for the World of Warplanes thing. In there, they probably spent a fair whack as well. I'm pretty sure Riot are one of the biggest people in that particular hall. And here's why it's not typical. Like, the reason why any game, any esports event is on at Gamescom is to get footfall. And it's not from dedicated fans. It's not from the guys like you who queue up to get a seat because you genuinely want to watch the games. The reason they're there is to attract the people who just love games, and maybe, just maybe, there's some people under a rock that don't know what League of Legends is yet. And what they do is they basically are looking to try and entice them, like, come into our fucking mighty empire, love our game, become part of our community. And they do that by giving them the experience, the spectacle of this wonderful esports event. You know, crowds chanting, people on stage, massive prize funds, interviews, rolling content. And Gamescom isn't typical. Everyone who hosts something there runs into problems. No one at Riot will ever say this. No one at WCS, ESL would ever say this publicly. But you're almost hindered by being there. You get a very limited amount of space. You've got this huge through fair where people are just walking along. Everyone's like tired, exhausted. Like you walk from, well, if you walk from one end of Gamescom to the other, you're fucking exhausted. It's huge. Like it is fucking huge. And that's not just for fat old men like me. That's like these young guys. Like I have to take breaks in between each hall. Like I have to take a fucking lunchbox. It's a long fucking walk. And so that when you've got a limited amount of seats and people are just sitting on anything to catch their breath, a lot of the people
you could not sit at all. Like there were the seats, and if you wanted to sit on the ground or you brought chairs or something, you were not allowed to do that.
Yeah, but one of the problems that happened was, and I know this firsthand because I was there, you have this restaurant in the middle of the esports hall, and people were just sitting in the restaurant thing, not buying any food, because they just wanted to sit down, maybe watch a game, maybe relax, maybe look at their goodie bags, see what they've got, And so what the restaurant started doing was they started erecting wooden barriers to block the view of the League of Legends stage. But then what people did was they just come along and moved the chairs out of the fucking restaurant zone because people just wanted to sit down and watch it. So I totally sympathize and empathize with you, but the situation we've got ultimately is League of Legends needs to be at Gamescom. StarCraft 2 needs to be at Gamescom. But it needs to stay in the mindset and the consciousness of this young generation of gamer. It's got to be at Europe's biggest gaming expo. There is no way, shape, or form about it. Where I would agree with you and the point that I made, and certainly I know Thorin has made this, I want you to imagine that this is a regular sporting event and it's the final, it's the European final, right? And they say we're going to host it inside a shopping mall, right? And we're going to build a football pitch in a shopping mall and they're going to play we're going to play the Champions League final in a shopping mall. And people can sit down and watch the game, or you can go in one of the shops all around the game. You wouldn't want that. It doesn't put your sport, it doesn't put your event in a particularly good light. And I would just wonder if there was like an alternative event that might be a better fit for Gamescom. Something that's fun, something that's friendly, something that's not as serious, not as important, not as required for the spectators, like an all-star game or just a one-off cup or a one-off trophy. And I think everyone would win then. I definitely think that there's something to be said for having the European finals at Gamescom, but equally, it's not prestigious when people can't get a seat. It's not prestigious when fans come away and go straight onto Reddit and say, well, I went for a piss and I couldn't get a sit down again for 8 hours. That's not cool. That's not fair on the people who genuinely care about the game. So there's a middle ground. I saw D-Man in the chat, and he said next year will be better. And I know D-Man, he's a fucking stand-up guy. He's a man of his word. I'm starting to sound like Travis now, aren't I? D-Man's my friend, man. We're all good friends here. I love D-Man. We're best friends, right, D-Man? Tell everyone you're my friend, D-Man. But anyway,
you should look at my Skype profile picture for that.
So. He's a fucking, if he says it's going to be better, Riot have obviously had a meeting. They've obviously had the fucking conversation, and I think it will improve. But, look, I know as well that Riot don't like it when fans who travel to events have a bad time. I know that. I fucking know that. They do genuinely give a shit about the spectator experience. So perhaps next year will be better. From a press perspective, I didn't particularly want to go back. Best thing you can do, Riot, get me a fucking press room close to the event. Like, do that, you fuckers. Don't get this guy a chair. Get me a fucking chair so I can do my job. But anyway, look, you were the last caller. Is there anything else you want to just throw in just before I press the delete button?
Well, what could I throw in? Hi, Mom. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I
could have made a joke. I could have said she's just out back. I'll go get her for you if you want. But that would be too trashy for even trash talk, I think. So anyway, look, you made some good points, brother. Thanks a lot for calling in. Hopefully you'll call in again, AJ.
Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for getting me in.
Nah, anytime, man. You take care. So there we go. That wraps up another edition of Trash Talk. Maybe you're a guy who has gone to a lot of fucking League of Legends events, and things outside of the ordinary, things not just Gamescom, like regular season events. If so, do it. Like, just, call in next week and tell me about it, because these are the kind of things, I mean, the reason this show exists isn't just to, have me ranting and vomiting blood and drinking beers on air to show how cool I am, or whatever you think, whatever purpose you think it might serve. It's not catharsis. My shrink tells me I shouldn't do this. They say it just makes me more angry. But what it's about is it's about airing stuff that we can't really air anywhere else, and getting that dirty laundry out there, and let's talk about it, right? So it's only a good thing. We're only going to improve collectively as an esports thing. So call in. Just to end, a couple of points that I wanted to end on just for the show. Right, we talk a lot about the losses in esports. I want to talk about a big win, and that was IPL have finally paid, 1 year later, they have paid Lenok his prize money. And I'm really happy that we got this done. Lenok did the right thing in going public with the tweet. It was a paperwork snafu. I don't think it was anything more malicious than that. I'm sure people might have their own opinions about it, but obviously with the dissolution of IPL, there were some situations there. There were some problems there. It got resolved. Lenok got his money. We should be fucking, look, whatever we want to say about IPL being pieces of shit for not paying it, a player got paid. A winner got paid. That legitimizes esports. And all the people out there who were upvoting that shit on Reddit and retweeting that shit, you played a part. You did something good. It was a big fucking win. I'm happy that he got paid. We should all be fucking applauding, right? We live in this land of broken promises that I keep talking about. Well, fuck it. We had some positive change. So you can all be happy about that. And I just hope Lenok sends me the 10% that I asked for before I wrote the news story. No, I'm just kidding. It's great stuff. So, and the last point is on this note of positive change. Kalaris, he's such a cool dude. He's not going to come on the show, man, and like talk about what happened. And it's a shame. I'm messaging him. I'm saying, come on, please come on. I don't think he's going to. He's not responding at the moment. I get why. But Kalaris deserves to be at BlizzCon, doesn't he, guys? Doesn't he? And far be it from me to set the agenda, but what I'd like to think is it's just an innocent oversight on Blizzard's part. And we've shown that we can make positive changes. And maybe, just maybe there's a Kalaris Appreciation Society out there. I've known James since the start of his career. I don't want to tell Blizzard how to do their job, but there's a place for Kalaris at BlizzCon, right? Let's see if we can make something fucking positive happen. And let's be talking about how Blizzard come forward and said, wow, we totally forgot about that guy because he looks like that dude out of Game of Thrones. And it's easy to forget about him. So, yeah, let's talk about that next week. Let's talk about some more positive shit. To all the people who tuned in, to all the people who voted us on Reddit, great numbers again this week. Trash Talk is growing. It isn't possible without you. And I fucking love each and every one of you. Believe that. So I'll see you next week. Trash Talk, it's the place to be. 8 o'clock Wednesday next time.